Hey, what's up guys, it's TechSummer talking to you here, and in today's video, it's the second part of my series for the best Apple products of the year. And in this year, 2022, I decided to choose for this year's best Apple products some of existing products that happened this year, as well as some new products. If you don't know, the first part of this series is out. It was about the Apple Watch Ultra, and the reception was incredible. Almost 800 views in just one day. That's crazy for me. Thank you guys for all your support. If you want to go check it out, the link is in the description. But still, in today's video, it's the second part of this series. And like I told you in my first video, today's video will be about the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Yes, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, not the iPhone 14 Pro Max. In my opinion, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the better deal, the better value, and the better phone. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, it's better, objectively better than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I know, it's the newer phone, that's why Apple released it. But still, there's some stuff about the camera that is finicky. I made a video talking about the problem that it had with the focal distance with the new lens, the 48 megapixel lens on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And so, that's why I cannot give this title to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I don't see the iPhone 14 Pro Max has the optimized phone that iPhone 13 Pro Max was. Coupled together with the increased price in almost every single country, out excluding the US, I think that the iPhone 14 Pro Max doesn't deserve this title. I've seen a lot of people talking about the iPhone 14 Pro Max has been insane phone. I've used it for 2 weeks, like enough time for me to understand how it is, and after the first 3 days I forgot that I had a new phone. And that's never a good thing. The iPhone 13 Pro Max introduced ProMotion. The iPhone 13 Pro Max had insane new cameras that were better than the iPhone 12 Pro Max cameras in every single category, every way, every shot, every video recorded. While the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it's better in some shots, in some low light conditions, in some perfect lighting conditions, but not in all. Like focal distance is worse, and some other shots it's not that great because the 48 megapixel camera, although it's really good for taking very crisp and detailed photos, that's why it uses 48 megapixels, it fails to be optimized in other scenarios. So that's why I decided to cover the iPhone 13 Pro Max as the best value in 2022 and the best iPhone in 2022. Because the iPhone 13 Pro Max, it's cheaper now, you can find it for around the price of an iPhone 14 Plus, and it has so many more upgrades and features than this phone that I decided to give the price to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. It has the best value, Pro iPhone, and in my opinion, still the king of the Pro iPhone lineup. Of course, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is crazy good. It's really, really good. If you have one, I'm not telling you that your phone sucks. I'm just telling you that your phone was a really good upgrade, but Apple will optimize it better next year. So if you have an iPhone 14 Pro Max, enjoy it. It's a really, really good phone. It has some really cool features like the dynamic island and of course, the thinner bezels and some shots on the 48 megapixel camera. But if you don't have an iPhone 14 Pro Max, if you have an iPhone 13 Pro Max, I want to tell you, you don't really need to upgrade. That's the best phone right now, in my opinion, from Apple. Of course, you can tell me, oh my god, Dynamic Island is so cool. It's still not optimized, so you will still use it for around 1% of the apps that you use, so the Apple apps, and still, I mean, it has so much potential that has been untapped that I think that Apple will do more with it next year, but next year there will be the iPhone 15. So let's wait for the next year. This year, I will still give the price of the best iPhone in terms of value, in terms of features, to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So if you want a new iPhone in 2022, I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the iPhone to get. But let's go deeper onto this matter, explain feature by feature, camera by camera, everything in this video. So if you are excited, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and of course, let's get started. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is a really, really good phone. It's the second generation of the iPhone 12's design. As you know, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is the third generation. The jump from the iPhone 12 Pro Max to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, in my opinion, was way bigger than the jump from the iPhone 13 Pro Max to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. If you didn't know, the iPhone 12 Pro Max had a good camera system, yes, but the iPhone camera system, the 13 Pro Max, was really, really better. It had introduced the cinematic mode, introduced ProRes at 4K 30, I think, and It's a really, really good phone. This camera system is insane. But first, let's talk about the design. Because the design of the iPhone 13 Pro Max did not change much from the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The only time that actually iPhone changes their designs right now, nowadays, is the camera size. The camera bump just gets bigger, like a tumor. The iPhone 12 Pro Max had one camera size on the bump. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro Max jumped it by 0.25. And now the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it's even bigger. So it's like growing each year to accommodate better cameras. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, if you don't know, it's a second generation, like I told you. So the design, it's the most similar one to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. But there's a catch. The notch changes always in this design generation. Think with me. The iPhone 12 Pro Max had the regular ass notch, the traditional notch from the iPhone 10. Then the iPhone 13 Pro Max introduced the newer notch, the slimmer but deeper notch. Then the iPhone 14 Pro Max introduced Dynamic Island, killed the notch in total. So there's the only design difference between the three generations. The rest of the body is just the same premium flat sides made of stainless steel with a matte glass back. The colors though have changed, and a lot. The iPhone 12 Pro Max had Pacific Blue, the iPhone 13 Pro Max had Sierra Blue, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max had Deep Purple. If you ask me, that the iPhone 13 Pro Max, in my opinion, has the best colors. Sierra Blue is my favorite one, and of course, the green one is really my favorite. But still, I have a Sierra Blue iPhone 13 Pro Max that is actually recording this video right now. I cannot hold it in my hand, but I will put some B-roll during the video to explain you and to show you my phone. So yeah, the design is about the same. The camera bump is bigger on the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the iPhone 13 Pro Max, according to comparisons against to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, as you can see. But still, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the traditional, flat edge, premium feeling, stainless steel made design. And in my opinion, it's the best iPhone design ever. Although, it's rumored that it's going to be redesigned for the iPhone 15, going to have flat sides with a curved back. And that one is something that I'm excited for. But still, until we don't get the iPhone 15, I still think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max design is really future-proof, because it's the same as the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So by you buying an iPhone 13 Pro Max right now, you won't be feeling like you have an old phone, because it still has and feels the same as the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Like I told you, just by grabbing the phone, I cannot tell between the difference of the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The 14 Pro Max is probably a little bit heavier, but still, you won't notice that much of a difference. If we roll to the iPhone 14 Pro Max and 13 Pro Max display, you will see there's a lot of big differences. But I will choose the iPhone 13 Pro Max display over the iPhone 14 Pro Max's display in some instances. For example, the iPhone 13 Pro Max's display is really good. It was the first display to introduce ProMotion on the Apple lineup, and still is very relevant today. The iPhone 14 Pro Max display that was introduced in this year is really good also. It's brighter, it has less bezel, and it has a dynamic island and not a notch. But still, in my opinion, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, for the value, you are getting the best display possible. This display can get up to 1200 nits of peak brightness. This display has still slimmer bezels than the iPhone 12, and still, the iPhone 13 Pro Max gets the best feature of them all, ProMotion. ProMotion, in my opinion, is the game changer of the iPhone lineup in the last few years. And so, the iPhone 13 Pro Max having ProMotion is a really big deal. Trust me, ProMotion is really useful. Like, when you are starting comparing against the iPhone 12 Pro Max display, you will see that it's much smoother if you're doing a slow motion camera shoot. So, I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max has the better sweet spot of them all. In terms of price, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is better priced but still gets ProMotion, while the iPhone 14 Pro Max gets you the best display available on an iPhone, but you have to pay a lot for it, especially if you are outside of the US, and you won't get much dynamic island, a tiny bezel difference that in my opinion doesn't justify the extra money. And of course, after a while, dynamic island will feel the same as the notch, and in my opinion, it's still not well optimized for its needs. Of course, I see that the dynamic island has way more potential than the notch. The notch is big, bulky, and it's a dead space on your screen, while the dynamic island is just what, like the name says, dynamic. So it can change purpose, can change the way you interact with it. It makes a lot of sense, and in my opinion, it's really useful. Like, it turns into a task manager. You can put your music up there. You can put your map directions up there. You can put your sports results, your team's results up there, and you can put your Uber feed even up there. It's really useful, but still, it's kind of not optimized yet for a lot of people, and developers have not taken advantage of this system. So I do believe still in 2022, next year it won't be true, but this year I still do believe in 2022, 2023, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the iPhone to get in terms of the screen, because the screen has all of the features that I value on an iPhone screen, ditching all of the extra fat and saving on costs and on money. No, this phone is not cheap. Of course, it's not $400, but you can find it used for about $800, and you can find it refurbished, new, for around $950, so around the same price as the iPhone 14 Plus. And when compared to that phone, you get ProMotion. So, ProMotion display, trust me, it makes tons of difference. Of course, another feature that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is better than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and it turns out that in terms of an upgrade, it's just ridiculous how it works, is battery life. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has the best battery life ever on an iPhone. It's really ridiculous. Like when I had 100% of battery health, it would last me 2 days without a doubt. And I was recording videos, doing things like this, and it lasted me 2 days, straight ahead, 2 days. Nowadays, I have around 90% of battery health, and this phone lasts me, I would say, the whole day. I know it's kind of weird that before it lasts me 2 days, now it lasts me a whole day. Sometimes if I'm not recording videos, if I'm not doing anything intensive, it can last me 2 days still. But if I'm not doing anything intensive, it gets to the end of the day with 10, 15, 20%, or it even dies at midnight, 1 a.m. And I have to charge it because I don't want to start my day with 10%. So yeah, I have to charge it still. But it just delivers an amount of performance in battery that is just ridiculous. Yeah, I use my phone a lot. I know for a fact, if you don't use your phone to record videos like I do every single day, and to use like social media very heavily with YouTube, with Twitter, just for my job, let's say the least, your phone will last you the 2 days, even with 90% of battery health. Do not worry about that. I'm for sure have an idea that this phone will last you 2 days. And that's why I think that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is really good in terms of battery. Still, 1 year later, these phones have insane battery. And if you are buying a refurbished iPhone from Apple, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is cheaper, or even from Best Buy, Amazon, they will have around 90 to 95, and it's from Apple, it's 100% battery health. You can pay $70 to trade your battery to a new one, and I can tell that that's really worth it. Because after you do that, your phone will be like brand new. And if you do that, you will have a brand new iPhone for less than you would have to pay for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which, if you don't know, doesn't have as good as battery as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I used the iPhone 14 Pro Max for 2 weeks, and I averaged out 2 hours less than my iPhone 13 Pro Max, which had 10% less battery health. So yeah, you can see the difference. Maybe because I had the always on display on, which was a feature that I forgot to talk about on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Yeah, always on display is excess fat. Don't really need it, don't really use it. Apple fixed it on the latest upgrade of iOS 16, but still, I don't really care about it. On my Apple Watch is really useful. Like, I have the Apple Watch here, and it's really useful. Like, the always on display shows you the time, makes it look cool, and makes it look stylish. But on iPhone, I don't really care. Like, it's just a phone. I don't want to have my screen turned on all the times wasting battery. I don't really care. Like, just give me an old, bland, black screen. Save on battery, because that's the most important part on an iPhone. And that's something that the iPhone 13 Pro Max does better than the iPhone 14 Pro Max, being cheaper, and of course, being way cooler while doing that. So, the iPhone 13 Pro Max, in terms of battery, in terms of display, and in terms of their design, it's still a top-notch iPhone. It's still the best iPhone out there, in my opinion. Currently, let's say, modeled together with the iPhone 14 Pro Max in terms of display, battery, design, it's up there, leveled with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The iPhone 14 Pro Max did not manage to jump much ahead, and where the iPhone 13 Pro Max lacks in terms of features, which is very few, it compensates that with the lower price. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the iPhone that I will choose for you and for my recommendations in 2022 as my best and favorite iPhone of 2022/2023 year season. But still, they are not finished here. We need to talk about the most important part, the cameras. The cameras on the iPhone 13 Pro Max has served me, well, perfectly well. In 2022/2023, I've used 2 iPhones, the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The iPhone 13 Pro Max, it's the older phone. Although, when you are shooting with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you don't actually feel like you have the older phone. You know what I mean? Like, almost all of the features that the iPhone 14 Pro Max has, the iPhone 13 Pro Max has. The only difference is the 48 megapixel sensor, and this sensor is not perfect in every single way. Like sometimes you get amazing shots, extraordinary shots that completely destroy your 12 megapixel on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But the other 40% of chances, you just get too close and it doesn't focus. It just gets too far away and it just creates a bokeh, which is not natural and unfocuses your subject. So it's not perfect. It's not optimized. It's not 100% better in every single category as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Of course, telephoto, better. Ultra-wide, better. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is a 1.5 year phone. You cannot expect to have the best hardware out there. But still, according to my comparisons, the iPhone 13 Pro Max does really, really well against the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And of course, you can notice the difference on some ultra-wide shots. On even night mode shots, you can notice the difference. The biggest difference for me though is the telephoto, the ability to crop in with the 2x telephoto on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. It's not the real 2x, but it's an optical zoom on the 48 megapixel crop that you have. So it's more like a simulation of the 2x telephoto that you have on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is actually making you to have 4 lenses instead of 3, while the iPhone 13 Pro Max has only a 3x telephoto. The 3x telephoto, I gotta admit, it's not that useful. The 2x is way better for portraits. It's way better to focus and to zoom just a little bit to your subject, which is sometimes better than just move forward physically. While the iPhone 13 Pro Max's 3x is really, 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 really strong. Sometimes I have to back it out to use the telephone. But still, I still really like the iPhone 13 Pro Max camera system. The main focus for me was video. And video, although you can now do 4K 30 frames per second on cinematic mode on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I did not use it. Like, I sometimes use cinematic mode. Nowadays, I use it like not that often. But still, cinematic mode is really good at 1080p on the iPhone. On YouTube, you don't notice the difference because of YouTube compression. Maybe you'll say, oh, I noticed the difference. You're a techie guy. Some normal dude will notice it. While the iPhone 14 Pro Max also has like stabilization video mode, like you can run around and stabilize your footage, but I don't do that. I don't really use it. If you do use it, it's a very niche hack thing. And the iPhone 13 Pro Max also has amazing stabilization. It's not the best, like you can see here. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is way better at correcting things when I'm running really fast and moving my phones around. Yeah, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is definitely better, but still, it doesn't justify the extra price tag and the extra problems that we have, especially with the distance of focus on the bigger lens. Yes, the iPhone 14 Pro Max camera is better, but even on video, like I'm shooting video, I don't know, for me, I don't notice the difference enough to justify the extra $250, $300 outside of the US. So yeah, I think that the camera system, at least at the back, is not better in every single category. And so, still, for the extra money, I don't think it's worth it to upgrade for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, just for the cameras. And of course, there's the catch. The 48 megapixel problem. It's a very annoying problem for some people. So you will probably be better off you have an iPhone 13 Pro Max to wait for the iPhone 15, because probably Apple will. I think they will. I'm sure they will fix all of these problems. But the main thing about the camera systems on the iPhone 14 Pro Max that has improved over the iPhone 13 Pro Max and is actually very, very useful, and I noticed, was the front camera. The front camera is way better on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. There's the only category that says this is objectively better than the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But who uses the front camera just for FaceTime calls? No one. So I don't really care about the front camera quality being way better. The rest of the camera system is not 100% better. And so, in my opinion, it's not worth to spend the extra cash. That's why I'm choosing the iPhone 13 Pro Max camera system to be just enough. Like, it features and matches all the criteria that I need on a camera system, on a pro camera system in 2022/2023. And for a lot of you, it will be way more than enough. So, with the lower price tag, with the averaged out camera system with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I gotta tell you, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is definitely a better phone and a better value phone. It's not the best phone and the best iPhone out there. Still, you'll have the iPhone 14 Pro Max available. I will reiterate, the iPhone 14 Pro Max is the best iPhone ever made. But right now, it's not the best value pro iPhone. And that's why I think in 2022, if you want to buy an iPhone, give it as a Christmas gift for someone, for your dad, for your mother, for your brother. You are looking for an iPhone. You don't want to spend less than $1,000 on your iPhone, but still, you are looking, I might buy the iPhone 14 Plus. Everyone nowadays wants a big phone. No, do not buy it. Get the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I think that even if you are looking for the iPhone 13, I would make an effort and try to save a little bit more money. Go for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Even if you are looking for the iPhone 14, do the same thing. Even if you are looking for the iPhone 14 Pro, which will be around the same price as this phone, save the money. Try to get the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Only get the iPhone 14 Pro Max if you do really like the matte black color and if you do really need and enjoy the 48 megapixel camera or just like to have the latest iPhone. But still, I know that a lot of people now, we are in the Christmas time, we are looking for the iPhone 14 Pro Max and it's sold out. You cannot get it. Then this is my alternative to you. Go out, try to find an iPhone 13 Pro Max. You will settle with 98%, 97% of the phone that you will get with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. You will save tons of money. You will get it at time from Christmas and you will be happy with your choice. So that's why that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is my choice for my Christmas gift list or whatever Christmas idea with list, my wish list for Christmas. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is the phone and the iPhone to get and my favorite and in my opinion best value iPhone in 2022. But what you think about the iPhone 13 Pro Max, let me know in the comments down below. I'm really happy that I did not keep the iPhone 14 Pro Max. After 3 months, I'm glad I returned it. Money saved, money kept. And in this economy, it was a good decision. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. While you're there, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. This has been Tech Summer talking to you here. Bye.